Have you ever woken up thinking that a single change in your routine could completely transform your diabetes management? For many gentlemen and ladies, there's always that hope of finding something that brings relief to the body and peace of mind. Some believe that the only solution lies in medications, but the truth is that the body responds very well when it receives the right dose of nutrients. With a bit of discipline and some dietary adjustments, certain vitamins can even surprise those who are tired of trying everything. The goal is to show why these vitamins play a critical role in controlling blood sugar levels and how to incorporate each of them into daily life without complicating routines. João, at 63, has always been a beacon of good humor. He lives in a quiet area where each morning begins with the song of birds on his porch. Still, he was shaken when he discovered that his glucose levels were abnormal. It felt as if the ground had been taken from under him. He believed he was doing everything right, yet he saw the numbers rise with every test. When he heard that specific vitamins could help, he was skeptical, thinking it was just talk from people selling expensive supplements. Nevertheless, he decided to give it a chance. He researched B vitamins, vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin E, and, of course, essential magnesium. At first, he didn't expect significant results, but he found that by focusing on these substances, his body began to respond with more energy and balance. It's easy to associate vitamins with immune strengthening or bone health, but few realize that they can also help reduce insulin resistance. A simple example is vitamin B, especially B1, B6, and B12. When the body has good levels of these vitamins, sugar metabolism tends to work more efficiently. João discovered that by eating more foods like beans, eggs, and leafy greens, he was naturally increasing his intake of the B complex. At the same time, he began to notice that his daytime fatigue decreased and the discomfort in his legs eased. It wasn't a miracle, but a predictable reaction from a body that was finally getting what it truly needed. While João was tentatively making his changes, Maria, 68, decided to focus on fruits and vegetables. She had always been a fan of greens, but wasn't sure if she was making the right choices. The major shift came when she started adding more vitamin C-rich foods to her routine. Oranges, lemons, and peppers began to strategically fill her plate. She also heard that broccoli was a powerful ally. Her doctor had mentioned the importance of not only taking care of her diet, but also her state of mind. However, Maria didn't quite understand how to connect these physical practices with her emotional health. She thought the anxiety, that tightness in her chest before measuring her glucose, was separate from the rest of her body. Yet, as she saw her glucose levels stabilize, she felt more confident, and this calmness directly reflected how she dealt with daily challenges. There's something interesting in realizing that a well-nourished body responds more lightly to the thoughts we cultivate. It's as if by caring for the foundation, everything in our day flows better. Vitamin C not only aids in immunity, but also helps keep blood sugar levels under control. The best part is that this vitamin is easy to find in citrus fruits, tomatoes, and even pineapples. There's no need to complicate recipes for good results. It's enough to remember to color the plate with options that offer this benefit. When Maria realized that small changes in her eating habits made a difference, she began trying natural juices for breakfast. She enjoyed experimenting with different combinations and found she didn't even need extra sugar to delight in them. In addition to B vitamins and vitamin C, vitamin D also deserves recognition. Many believe it mainly strengthens bones, but studies suggest its significance in insulin sensitivity. In other words, when we have good levels of vitamin D, our bodies tend to manage glucose better. João, the cheerful gentleman, began taking 15-minute morning walks in the sun, always mindful of skin protection, of course. It was like discovering that this simple walking routine could help keep his levels in check. He reports feeling more energetic and experiencing a noticeable mood improvement from consciously exposing himself to sunlight. This care doesn't replace diet or medication, but paves the way for a series of benefits involving sugar metabolism regulation. Another vitamin that has gained the affection of many is vitamin E. It acts as a strong antioxidant, protecting cells from oxidative stress. Practically speaking, this means it helps the body withstand blood sugar fluctuations. Many nuts, seeds, and vegetable oils contain vitamin E. When combined with a balanced diet, this substance can contribute to keeping cells healthier. Maria started regularly consuming small portions of almonds and sunflower seeds. She noticed that, in addition to feeling more vibrant, her hair and nails also improved. These details make a difference in self-esteem for anyone managing diabetes. One element that cannot be overlooked is magnesium. Although it's not a vitamin, it's often included in the same conversation due to its crucial role in glucose metabolism. Additionally, it works in the nervous and muscular systems, helping the body respond better to stress. The interesting thing is that many people are magnesium deficient and don't even know it. Foods like spinach, avocados, pumpkin seeds, and almonds are important sources of this mineral. One way to incorporate magnesium into the diet is by preparing salads with dark leafy greens and adding some seeds at lunch. Over the weeks, the body becomes more stable, sleep improves, and feelings of irritability decrease. It's not magic, but rather the result of providing the body with the fuel it needs to function efficiently. A key point that links all these dietary adjustments to how we face diabetes is the mind. If the mind isn't at peace, it's easy to revert to old habits. Stoic philosophy reminds us that each challenge is an opportunity to practice patience and self-control. It's intriguing to imagine a Roman philosopher like Marcus Aurelius facing daily pressures. But it is precisely in his writings that we find reflections on accepting what cannot be changed and acting courageously within our reach. When it comes to diabetes, some things are unavoidable, such as measuring glucose and following certain care guidelines. However, how we react to these tasks makes all the difference. By approaching the daily test as a step toward care rather than a burden, anxiety diminishes and discipline increases. Ricardo, a gentleman nearing 70, noticed that his anxiety spiked with every medical appointment. He became so tense that his heart would race just thinking about his glucose numbers. One day, he read a passage from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations about the importance of maintaining a firm mind in the face of problems. He understood that if anxiety was an obstacle, it was up to him to confront that feeling with tranquility. To avoid getting lost in negative thoughts, he began writing down 3 things he was grateful for every morning. One of those included having access to quality information on managing diabetes. Incorporating vitamins and supplements was just one practical aspect of this mental transformation process. This practice of gratitude and self-reflection promotes the discipline needed to take care of the body without neglecting the mind. When a person learns to appreciate even small victories, like a day without sharp fluctuations in glucose levels, they realize that the journey becomes less exhausting. Ricardo incorporated light exercises into his routine, adopted smoothies with vitamin C-rich fruits, and regularly consumed eggs and leafy greens to boost his B-complex intake. Initially, he complained about having to make many changes at once. However, once the habit was established, he realized that the feeling of well-being was worth every small effort. Even a simple morning walk, which initially felt like a great effort, became a source of satisfaction. He says the greatest reward is feeling the body cooperating rather than constantly battling against it. When it comes to vitamins, not everything is perfect. Many people comment that they have taken supplements without experiencing any results. There are also those who believe that only vitamins can resolve any problem, which isn't true. A group of elderly friends decided to discuss this as they sipped tea in the living room. Some spoke about the need to be careful not to fall for miraculous promises. Others recalled that the right approach is to combine a good diet with medical supervision. One lady emphasized the importance of reading labels and understanding that not all supplement brands deliver the same quality. In the end, they concluded that vitamins are important allies but do not replace conventional treatments. Harmony lies in the balance between what one eats, the physical activity engaged in, and the emotional handling of the condition. It is worth remembering that each organism reacts differently. What works well for João may not be ideal for Maria. That's why it's so important to have professional guidance and not just take any substance because it's trendy. Still, what we see is that, in general, when people strengthen their bodies with vitamins B, C, D, E, and magnesium, the tendency is for their bodies to respond better to sugar. And this improvement gradually manifests in various details: more restful sleep, more radiant skin, a more stable mood, and the energy to tackle daily tasks. It's interesting to observe how philosophy and science converge in this process. On one hand, Stoic wisdom reminds us that much of our suffering comes from how we interpret circumstances, On the other, nutrition explains that it's not just about looking at the plate, but how that plate affects the entire body, including our emotions. Those who adopt the mindset of accepting reality without resignation understand that it's possible to act to transform poor habits into opportunities for improvement. Each food choice represents a step toward balance. Each minute of cautious sun exposure strengthens metabolism. Each consciously taken supplement, when guided properly, offers the chance to become stronger against sugar spikes. Some prefer to start the day with a glass of warm water and a squeezed lemon, providing their bodies with vitamin C and stimulating intestinal function. Others enjoy a bowl of oatmeal with chia seeds and some fruit. The trick is to find routines that fit personal tastes and aren't too difficult to maintain. No one needs to become a master chef or spend hours researching complicated recipes. It's enough to focus on what is natural, colorful, and rich in nutrients that support health. Gradually reducing refined sugar and simple carbohydrates also helps create space for vitamins to work more effectively. The body is a machine that responds to our daily actions. Regarding the myths, it's essential to emphasize that vitamins are not a cure-all. If someone promises that simply swallowing a tiny capsule will make diabetes disappear, be cautious. On the other hand, do not underestimate the power of balanced nutrition. This part is often underestimated. When in doubt, consulting a health professional and taking periodic measurements is crucial. The big secret lies in balancing information, applying what has been learned, and monitoring results to see what works best. The experience of the group of friends shows how conversation and information exchange can help avoid both excessive skepticism and naivete. In the end, what remains is the certainty that living with diabetes can be lighter than one might imagine. It's worth making space for a different perspective, remembering that vitamins B, C, D, E, and magnesium can act as supporting pieces in the great puzzle of health. It's also beneficial to consider principles of acceptance and serenity, inspired by Stoicism, to face challenges with less tension. Each time the mind finds tranquility, the body tends to follow suit. For those who have been living this reality for a long time, it may be encouraging to think that some simple changes can bring tangible results. If the urge arises to share a tip or relate an experience, it could inspire others seeking the same path. And if one wants to follow more content that brings these reflections, just stay close and subtly mark your presence whenever new materials appear. This is a way to exchange learning without fanfare, but with the strength of those who understand the value of each small step. Speaking of steps, there's no need to end the conversation here. Sometimes it's good to exchange ideas about what recipes worked or even think about how philosophy can help maintain calm. It's always worthwhile to remember that even when the path seems filled with obstacles, there are resources available that serve to strengthen the body and mind. A simple action today can change the entire perspective for tomorrow. The most interesting thing is that this transformation begins with choices that seem small but make a significant difference in the long run. Vitamins are like tools. They are there to be used wisely. And if it works, why not show others who still doubt that it's possible to improve quality of life with a sprinkle of knowledge and a dose of reflection? Each of us has the chance to become an example of perseverance, acceptance, and care. Taking care of oneself is an act of generosity, especially towards those we love. And if someone needs a word of motivation, knowing where to find this information can also help. The subtle invitation remains to continue following content that values simplicity and well-being. Nothing prevents the stories of João, Maria, and many others from becoming an inspiration for those still seeking this path in the future. Just remember that often, it all starts with the decision to give the body the vitamins it truly needs and the mind the serenity it deserves.